Libyan people last Saturday watched with heavy hearts and a lot of anxiety as one of the presidential candidates for the October 12, 2025 presidential election, Mr. Issa Tchiroma, declared that Christopher Ano is his best friend. I'm using his own words, his best friend. Minister Tchiroma further declared that Christopher Ano had given him his blessings and provided protection for his stay in Bamenda. We wondered how a man who had just abandoned the government that he has served for 20 years, could do such an open and public declaration. The Libyan people are particularly touched by this situation for simple reasons. For those who don't know, Christopher Ano comes from Libya, and the almighty Field Marshal, his junior brother, who is called Lekeka Oliver, was behind all the havoc that was caused in the Libyan division. We are therefore bemused and wondering how a member of government would have been sponsoring these acts of terrorism in our division. We want to take this opportunity to recall to candidate Issa Tchiroma and his cohorts that Libyan division has paid the price. But thank God our ancestors are not at sleep. On Saturday, last Saturday, that's the 4th of October 2025, just a week to the presidential elections, the ancestors of Libyan pushed candidate Issa Tchiroma to Bamenda to go and confess. You can confess and bring to the attention of the world the evil that he has done to Libyan people. Candidate Issa Tchiroma, we are waiting for you in the Libyan division to come and participate in a town hall with all our people, during which town hall we'll be expecting you to clarify us on a certain number of issues. First and foremost, candidate Issa Tchiroma, I am sure your best friend told you the techniques that he used to organize the murder of 3 chiefs in a slaughter in Fontaine subdivision on the night of the 13th of February 2021. I am sure, candidate Issa Tchiroma, that you are aware that these 3 chiefs were murdered because they had participated in the election of the regional council in the southwest region. Now, you, candidate Tchiroma, we expect you to come to Libya and give us guarantees that after voting for you, your best friend will not sponsor the murder of other people of Libya. Candidate Issa Tchiroma, I am a member of government, the government that you abandoned, and I just realized that you had a double agenda. Your double agenda was not only to pretend to serve the Cameroonian people, but at the same time to sponsor a breakaway faction of Cameroon. I don't understand how you, as president of this republic, you are going to manage this issue, which I consider a major challenge. I just realized, candidate Issa Tchiroma, that my house in my village was burned down when I was a member of government like you. And I recall that the greater majority of members of government called me to extend their sympathies, starting from the head of state himself, His Excellency President Paul Biya. But at the same time, I also recall that candidate Issa Tchiroma, you never did so. In as much as we laughed together, we shared pleasantries, we greeted in conviviality, you never took time to even say to me, my small brother, sorry for what happened to you. And I want to imagine that the story is not different with the palace of Chief Dr. Joseph Ndion Wute, which was burned down in his village, with the house, the home of Minister Mengot Arenkomo, which was burned down in this village, with the residence of Minister Gokumo Paul Mingo, which was burned down in this village. The list goes on and on. I think it is now clear that you've had an agenda.
From this, Issa Tchiroma Bakare should just pray that by the grace of God, he should win this presidential election. Because if not, he will answer a lot of questions. This is Minister Paul Tassong from Libya calling out Issa Tchiroma Bakare because of what Issa Tchiroma Bakare mentioned in Bamenda, that he is a very good friend to Chris Ano, who is an Ambazonian leader, in which his own brother, the brother of Chris Ano, was one of the notorious Ambazonian leaders, and he mentioned his name in that video. He also made mention of something that when his house was burned, his residence was burned down by the Ambazonian fighter, nearly all the ministers called him to sympathize with him, even the president of the Republic of Cameroon, and he is too close to Issa Tchiroma Bakare, but Issa Tchiroma Bakare never called. So to him, is that Issa Tchiroma Bakare collaborated with Chris Ano to burn down his home. This is something huge, but many people might not see it now. But if Issa Tchiroma Bakare failed to win the presidential election, then prison will be his portion. And we are just praying that God should open doors and wisdom for, because this is a whole minister, still in government, one of the greatest supporters of President Paul Biya, Minister Paul Tassong. He is at the presidency. So it is something that Issa Tchiroma Bakare should not take lightly. So he should start now explaining, even as he is moving from one place to another, even though Chris Ano came and deny it. But we are still questioning whether who is telling like Chris Ano or Issa Tchiroma Bakare, because Chris Ano went ahead in that video and said he even have communication. He have the daughter of Issa Tchiroma Bakare live on his own platform. So if you are not close to somebody that way, how will you have access to his daughter? Meaning you are a close family friend. So there are a lot of issues to answer by Issa Tchiroma Bakare, and the prayer is he should win the presidential election. If not, Paul Biya and the government will turn him upside down, and he will regret ever resigning. He will regret ever making that particular statement. Because even though I congratulated him for that particular statement, but as a government, former government officials, now I am seeing the implication, and this is something terrible. And we are just praying for God to give Issa Tchiroma Bakare wisdom to handle this whole